Hello, welcome back to another episode of Awakening with Soulspirational. I'm Tish, and today I want to talk about tools for healing. We can think about these as spiritual tools. Now, some of you may already be familiar with the list that I'm going to go through today. Others of you, some of this stuff may be new. So let's get right on into it. There are a lot of different things we can use. Today's list is not exhaustive by any stretch of the imagination, but giving a foundation. So first, let's talk about meditation. Meditation to me is an incredible foundation for our healing and or spiritual journey. The reason is it helps us to still and quiet the body and the mind. Now, I also understand how difficult that it can be to still and quiet the mind when the mind is racing. So one of the things, and especially when we first start off, if we really haven't meditated before, one of the things that I suggest is going to YouTube or search online for guided meditations. That way it'll give your brain something to do, the visualizations, while you still and calm the rest of the mind. And I see this as being a sister or cousin, however, to mindfulness. Whereas during mindfulness, we're paying attention to a specific thing or person, whatever it may be, drinking our tea, that we keep our thoughts centered around the tea, whether it's about thinking about where the tea originated from, how it was processed, how you made it at home, what it feels like going down, just focusing specifically with intention on that particular thing. So with meditation, and let me say too, the reason why mindfulness is not always easy, it sounds simple, but the mind does what the mind does. So for me, over the last 20 years practicing both meditation and mindfulness, and I haven't always been the greatest about it. It's not like, I would compare shouldn't compare myself anyway, but, it's not like I could sit at the top of a mountain somewhere for days on end meditating, but I have been practicing over the past 20 years, and it does get easier. And by incorporating mindfulness through the course of my day, I found that when I would go into meditation, it just made it easier because I've already been training the mind to focus. So something to think about, maybe doing some search on mindfulness, as well as for meditation. So again, with meditation, some people find it difficult. How am I supposed to stop the brain from doing what the brain does or what the mind does, which is think and process and analyze? But sometimes it's like at the time that we're the most chaotic is the time that we most need meditation, I would think, because that's where things are just kind of getting out of control in the mind. So what you can do, what I suggest, a couple things. One, have pen and paper nearby. So when I first started meditating, I would hear this inner voice reminding me that, well, if you go to meditation, you're going to forget that you have to do this or you have to do that. So what I would do is when those things would come up as I was trying to get into that place of stillness, I would just open up one eye and write down whatever it was so I could just quiet the mind saying, you know what, I wrote it down. I'm going to see it as soon as we're done, so I'm not going to forget about it. And yes, we can meditate when we're laying down. We can meditate when we're sitting up. But for me, different times I do things different ways. Most of the time, however, I'm in a seated position for meditation. If I'm doing a healing meditation, for me personally, I prefer to do as I'm going to sleep. So I can get myself in that particular place within the mind, within the spirit, to open up for healing. All right. So you have pen and paper ready so you can jot down those things that may be pulling your mind away from meditation, but also guided meditations on YouTube, or again, you can Google them. because again, it's the focus. So when a guided meditation is walking you through a particular process, so maybe it's walking you through a visualization into one of the chakras or just about breathing, it gives your brain something to do. It's focused on that one thing. So if we have a bunch of thoughts that have been swirling around, but now we can try and focus the mind on those visualizations, then it allows the other thoughts, or at least a portion of them, to kind of rest and be still. And for me, it's like in those moments of stillness, or as a result from the stillness. So maybe I'll do a walking meditation in my backyard, wanting to, maybe I'm looking for an answer, some more clarity or insight into something. I may not get it while I'm in the midst of my walking meditation, but I find that the answer comes more quickly to me maybe later on that night or the next day, because I have quieted those thoughts down enough to make an opening, if you will, for those thoughts to come to me, that clarity. So I would suggest maybe going into guided meditation to see where that takes you. And you may find as well that once you begin the guided meditation, that you get some more clarity as well. But once again, for me, meditation is the foundation of what I do. So if it is before a session, if it's before class, before I go to bed, sometimes I'll meditate instead when I wake up. Sometimes it's the middle of the day. So I may miss a day of meditation. I may do meditation a few times throughout the course of the day. Every day is different because life happens, and I am not here to judge people on how frequently they're meditating, if they're doing it right. It's just a matter of getting started. Start somewhere. Some of you may have heard me in the past mention the word should and not to should on ourselves. So if we take the word should and we add ERS, we get shoulders. When we hear ourselves saying all the time, I should do this more, I should do that more, maybe I shouldn't do that, we're adding more pressure to the burdens that we're already carrying. So if you've been thinking about, I should meditate more, when you hear yourself say that, stop and either do it or don't. But get that pressure off of you, because sometimes the pressure can mount so much that we just say, forget it, I don't want to do it at all. So just give yourself the permission in that moment, you know what, I'm just going to sit and meditate for 5 minutes. Or not. Or it may come back around later in the day where you say, you know what, I'm going to sit for 5 minutes or an hour in meditation. It's entirely up to you, obviously. Again, there are no judgments here. This is all about just getting that foundation built for you. So again, meditation, also the mindfulness for that focus. Focus for me is really important as well, because if I'm doing self-healing, or if I am in a Reiki session, an energy session with somebody else, knowing what their goals are, what their needs are, then I can focus my direct intent upon that particular location or chakra, or whatever it may be, that situation. So then to me, it feels as though the energy is more powerful in that intent than if it's just kind of swirling around and I'm doing whatever. It feels more direct. It feels more beneficial. It feels more potent by having that direct intention on something. All right, so meditation, focus, mindfulness, also focus, Reiki. So most of you by now know that I am a Reiki master and teacher. I absolutely love what I do. It has opened up so much within my time of doing it that I've created my own specialized version of Reiki called Sansu Reiki, where there's a few different things we may do when a client comes in. But Reiki, for those of you that are unfamiliar, the shortest way to present this is, it is a Japanese healing art. It is energy work. So you don't have to believe in it. We're all made of energy. So a Reiki practitioner is working within your energy. Now, some will say, I'm a healer. As far as I'm concerned, Reiki practitioners are healing conduits, they're channels, they are guides. I consider myself a spiritual guide. So when somebody's on the table, I can't heal somebody. First, I'm not a doctor. I don't claim to be. I don't cure, treat, diagnose, prevent any disease, illness, or ailment. But that being said, but as a spiritualist and as an energy worker, I am open in this place where when I am tapping into somebody else's energy, I can feel different places within them to go to. And it allows me to help direct a session where the client is in a more open place for healing purposes. So the healing, though I may help somebody, guide somebody to that place, any healing that is done is between them and their God, source, universe, however they perceive for that to be. I do not have the power as an individual to override somebody else's power to heal them. That being said, Reiki is awesome. So there are different types of Reiki practitioners that are out there. Some work with hands-on, some hands-off, some a combination of both. I do a combination of both with the client's permission for light touch. Usually I'm touching around the head, the shoulders, the feet, the hands. So Reiki is a great way to get in to start understanding more about energy work, to go to a practitioner, see what that feels like for you. If you've been interested in taking a Reiki class, take a Reiki class. I still suggest getting a Reiki treatment first, and so you have a better understanding of what it's like before you take a class. All right, another tool that you can use in your spiritual or healing toolbox is learning about the chakra system, the 7 main chakras. So it starts at your root, the base of your spine. Then it goes up to the sacral, which is just below the navel, works up to the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, and then the crown. So there is so much information within each and every one of these chakras. Chakras work both to the front and to the back, so we can see things from different angles, different perspectives of the front versus the back. So if you're interested, on my website, I have a books tab where I list different books. So there are some there. You can just do a Google search. You can go to Amazon, read reviews, and if you find something you're interested in, fantastic. Otherwise, you can also go to YouTube or, again, just Google the chakra system. There are more than the 7, but the 7 are the main chakras that we work with. And then we get into secondary ones, but that's once you get a good basic foundation for the 7 main. I do also offer a course in studio and online about chakra analysis and healing for self. I have another one that's for others, but where I show you how to feel into each one of your chakras. If you want information on that, I'll put a link on my homepage that'll link over. Most of my classes are listed on meetup.com. It's behind me here. I don't know, I'm backwards, so meetup.com, you search for Reiki or Soulspirational in Wadsworth, and then you'll find it. But otherwise, I'll put a link on my homepage of my soulspirational.com page. So where you can learn to start feeling into your own chakras. You can start analyzing them. See what is within a particular chakra, if there's a connection with one of the other ones. I go through the elements, so which element each one is attached to and how we can use that for visualization. So that is another tool here, is visualization. Now I've had plenty of people that have come in to say, I can't see, I don't see, for that internal vision. However, for most of us, the overwhelming majority, we do see. I believe that some of us may see better than others. To me, it's kind of like the physical senses. Now that I'm actually 50 now, but since I hit 40, my vision it started to go. So now I need reading glasses, which stinks because I've always had such perfect vision. Um, and I have a much better understanding and appreciation for those who need glasses or contacts all the time. But um, with hearing, I have partial hear loss in my right ear. So some of us hear better than others. So that's the same thing internally as far as the internal hearing or the internal vision. Here's the thing though. So if you say, well, I'm not really visual, I really don't see things, you may be surprised that you do. So if you can close your eyes and think about a recent event, maybe it was a wedding that you went to, it may even have been from 20 years ago. If in your mind's eye you can still see what color dress that you wore, or what suit color you wore, or even what suit you wore, what were the shoes, um, or maybe even the color of the bridesmaid dresses, or what the bride's dress looked like. Maybe some other party that you've gone to. If you can picture that even like a snapshot in your mind, even if it's not like a high def kind of a photo, then you are seeing internally. I think so often we get caught up that that people who see everything as though it's physical, 3D, right here, high def in front of us. Most of the time, as people are seeing, it's a projection within the mind. So being visual helps with spiritual and healing and our healing journey. It's a great tool because then we can use that if we're going to go into guided meditation. We're using visualizations. Like I have another third eye healing. We use the third eye for physical healing, and it's the way that we go and find a particular place that needs healed within the body, and we use the visualization for the healing purposes and for the cleansing or whatever it may be. So there's a lot that we can gain just by opening ourselves up internally for that internal vision. Also, when we close our eyes, the physical eyes are seeing the backsides of the eyelids. But if you can imagine that you're just, allowing your eyes to rest, or you're looking through, so even though your eyelids are closed, you can still project a figure in front of you. You can do that with your eyes open as well. You can just stare at a blank part on the wall and then just allow your internal vision to open up. For example, as you're looking at that spot on the wall, if I were to ask you if you can imagine seeing a red apple, do you see it somewhere within your vision? So practicing visualization techniques to strengthen that aspect as you go into healing in spiritual journey. And I'm going to say spiritual journey because it's awesome. All right, we can use things like singing bowls and crystal bowls. They're beautiful. Again, you can go to YouTube and or what is it, Vimeo, I think it is. I don't know, I always get that mixed up with the pay site. But where you can go and listen to the sounds of the different crystal bowls, of the metal singing bowls. They're beautiful. And sometimes it's hard to be so chaotic when these different tones are kind of pulling us away from those thoughts into the music, to the vibration of that music. Some are said to be able to resonate within each of the different 7 chakras for healing or for cleansing purposes. So something to check out there. Books. There are so many different books on healing, spiritual journeys, using energy work and visualizations for healing. All the things that I've already mentioned. So again, do a search. Go to Amazon. Look up different spiritual books. Again, I have a tab with some books listed on there, and I really need to update it because there are more that I found that are wonderful. You can do online courses. I offer my classes for the most part when I'm doing them online as well through a platform called Learn, Learn, It Live.com. learnitlive.com, learnitlive.com. And this particular platform is set up for those, for spiritual teachers give their classes there. So you'll find things on energy work, energy healing, meditations, mindfulness. I recently had one on there for astral travel. So there's a whole host on learnitlive.com. And there are so many other platforms as well. So just start seeking because, you seek and you shall find, right? So it's just a matter of getting ourselves, taking the time for ourselves to do the work. When clients show up here for a session, I think it's fantastic. Whether they're a recurring client or if they're a new client, but especially for the new ones who haven't experienced something like Reiki before. It's a big deal. And especially, if we've been in this place of suffering and we feel like, we're just kind of caught in this rut, when we give ourselves just that little bit of kindness, which winds up being a really big step to start seeking, for a Reiki practitioner or an energy worker in our area. And then we take, that's the first step. So we start searching, right? Sometimes we'll pull back, not sure. But then when we take the next step and actually reach out and contact that person, set up an appointment, and then we show up. I call it showing up for your soul. What a beautiful gift to give yourself. It's self-love as far as I'm concerned. Here's another thing, and I think I'm kind of getting close to my time, so I won't be too much longer. Binaural beats. So I've been researching more and more with binaural beats and brain entrainment, different tones to bring the mind, the brain waves into different frequencies. Isochronic tones, that's what I was kind of hemming on. Like, what's the other one? And I believe there's another one, solfeggio tones. But I've been working more specifically with the binaural beats. And for binaural beats, this is something you want to put headphones on for. There will be one tone in one ear, different tone in the other ear. And it's just how it's played just to bring your mind into a particular frequency. And I'm really enjoying it. In fact, I'm now offering Reiki with binaural beats as a session. But it brings, there are different brain waves. So there's gamma, which is a really high frequency. Beta, which is our awakened conscious state as we're talking. There's the alpha state, which is going to be more like the meditative state. Then we go down into the theta, where we're usually sleeping. And then the delta, which would be like the dreamless sleep state. And it's bringing the brain waves into a particular frequency, whether it's for calm or whether it's for healing, whatever it may be for you. So it's really good stuff. So that is something else that you can research. Some suggest with the binaural beats, if you're prone to seizures, then you may want to limit your time or not do the binaural beats. But then the isochronic, those tones are more of, they're a little bit harder to listen to for me, but you don't need headphones for them. And, you may want to try that instead. With the binaural beats that I use, there is different YouTube channels out there that offer them. I will also put a link for a company that I have been going to, a YouTube channel where they're called Zavora, S-V as in Victor, O-R-A, and they have shorter, maybe 2 or 3 minutes, some are maybe 15 or 20 minutes of different meditations, different binaural beats. And it's beautiful imagery. The binaural beats are inlaid within these beautiful healing sounds. So whether it's rushing water, sounds of maybe a forest or something, but the binaural beats will be inlaid within there. So again, we can get to those different states. The theta be more of the subconscious when we get down to the deep delta state, where that is more of the collective unconscious. And it is said when we get into those deeper states is when we're more open for healing. So there are some ideas, some tools for your healing toolbox or for your spiritual toolbox. And again, you'll find much more if you just search those kinds of things online. But this will get you started. So if you've been, in that place where you've been looking for something different, like, I've had people come in, oh, everything on paper looks great, but I'm just missing something. It could very well be that your soul is nudging you. And this gives you an opportunity to kind of open up and see what's there. If you've already been on your journey, but some of this is new to you, then awesome, research it. See what is out there for you. What popped to my mind too, so I'm going to say it, are angel numbers. Synchronicity. So if you're seeing the same word, if you're seeing the same animal, or all of a sudden you see an animal that you haven't seen in a while, if you see a deer, look up the spiritual meaning of deer. I just saw what I believe is a ladybug, so I'm going to be looking that up later. So when a particular animal, something crosses your path, you can look it up to see if it means something for you. When we're seeing a repetition of numbers, mine tend to be the 4s. And yes, those numbers can change for people throughout their journey, but you can look up angel numbers. So if you've been seeing 1s a lot, 2s, 3s, 4s, whatever it may be, look it up and see what kind of information is online. And to me, it's just kind of like the powers that be are just trying to guide us in a way that is illuminating for us, that may be healing or beneficial for us. It's a beautiful thing. So, all right, thank you so much for watching today's episode. Should you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Until next time, thank you, be well, and namaste.